Okay, in this video we're going to talk about a way that we can draw the vascular of the upper limb so that way we can have it ready to go on test day. So the way that I like to do this is I like to start with my brachial artery running down my arm into my forearm, where I know it's going to bifurcate into a lateral branch known as a radial artery and a medial branch known as the ulnar artery. So we have our brachial artery, which goes into our radial artery and our ulnar arteries. Ulnar is going to be on ulnar side or thumb side, or sorry, pinky side towards you. Radial artery is on the thumb side or lateral. Okay, so as we come through and we bifurcate into the radial and ulnar artery, the radial artery is mainly just going to continue all the way down into the wrist without giving off any major branches. However, the ulnar artery gives off a branch towards the meat of the forearm. This is going to be my common interosseous artery. The common interosseous artery is going to bifurcate again into an anterior interosseous artery and a posterior interosseous artery. So we have our common interosseous bifurcating into a anterior interosseous and posterior interosseous. Now that posterior interosseous artery is actually going to pierce the interosseous membrane of the forearm and enter the extensor compartment of the forearm. So it's piercing the interosseous membrane and running posteriorly. Now it's important to remember that as the brachial artery enters the forearm, it is bifurcating initially within the region of the cubital fossa, which I'm going to draw here as this triangle. Remember that the medial border of the cubital fossa is going to be the medial epicondyle, and that will become important in just a second. So these are the main branches that come off the brachial artery running into the radial and ulnar arteries, as well as the branches of the ulnar artery that we have to keep track of within the forearm. There are also some small branches that we need to be aware of. So the brachial artery gives off branches, which comes behind the medial epicondyle, one of which runs anterior to the medial epicondyle, and these are known as ulnar collateral arteries. So the one that comes off more superiorly is aptly named the superior ulnar collateral artery, whereas the one that comes off inferiorly is known as the inferior ulnar collateral artery. Okay, so remember I said the superior ulnar collateral artery is running down and it's running posterior to the medial epicondyle, whereas the inferior ulnar collateral artery is coming down into the forearm and running anterior to the medial epicondyle. Now, these branches are actually going to anastomose with branches coming from the ulnar artery. So this is going to be coming up. We're going to have a posterior ulnar recurrent artery. And note that this is a recurrent artery, meaning that it's traveling back up the forearm into the arm, as opposed to traveling from superior to inferior like your ulnar collateral arteries. We're also going to have, if we have posterior ulnar recurrent, we're also going to have an anterior ulnar recurrent, which is running anterior to the medial epicondyle. All right, so this is our anterior ulnar recurrent. Okay, one more branch that we need to know coming off the radial artery. The radial artery is also going to give off a recurrent branch running up into the forearm. And then our profunda brachial artery, which again is in the extensor compartment of the upper arm, is going to give off that collateral. So this is going to be my radial collateral artery and my radial recurrent artery running up. Okay, now these are all the branches of the forearm, or the arteries in the forearm and upper arm that we're going to need to keep track of. But I do want to point out one important association. So the superior ulnar collateral artery is coming off the brachial artery. It runs down into the forearm and is running posterior to the medial epicondyle, where it's going to anastomose with our posterior ulnar recurrent artery. And because it's making this path behind the medial epicondyle, there's a nerve that's in association with this vessel. So if you recall, the ulnar nerve runs behind the medial epicondyle, okay, where it can be damaged if you have injury to the medial epicondyle here. So one good association, though, is that the superior ulnar collateral artery runs with the ulnar nerve as it passes behind the medial epicondyle. And with that, that's going to give us an overview of the vasculature of the upper limb.